Muslims are fond of using the so-called contingency argument to prove the existence of a necessary being. In brief, the contingency argument can be conveyed as follows. Everything created has a cause. In order to avoid an infinite causal regress, the chain of causation must originate with that which is a causal agent, but itself is not created, i.e., everything that is created is contingent on this causal agent. Such an agent must exist necessarily. We call this agent the necessary being, or colloquially, God. Now, Muslims make at least two logical fallacies. One, thinking that since everything that is created has a cause, then the converse is also true, namely that the object of causation implies that it is created. And while this point isn't immediately part of the contingency argument per se, it is related to one's understanding of causation, contingency, and ability to do logic tables. The inference that causation implies creation is a logical fallacy made by even the most intelligent Muslim to have ever lived.
Back to the box. So all contingency.
Well, the box is not helping me at all, to be honest with you. The box is not helping me.
It's logic. So, if logic doesn't help, I don't know how to help you. But
and two, assuming that the established necessary being of the contingency argument is one-for-one identical to the Allah of Islam. But merely believing that there is a necessary being, or God, does not automatically give one the deity of Islam. For example, Plato believed in one God, or necessary being, but it is unreasonable to conclude that Plato's God is the God of Islam. So the challenge to Muslims is this. Demonstrate that it logically follows from the contingency argument that the necessary being necessarily has two right hands and a shin. If you as a Muslim cannot prove this logical entailment, then the contingency argument does not establish the Allah of Islam as the necessary being. In other words, it does not logically follow that the necessary being from the contingency argument is the Allah of Islam. If you as a Muslim need to appeal to the Quran and Sunnah to justify the necessary being having two right hands and a shin, then there is no point in making the contingency argument in the first place. In other words, Muslim use of the contingency argument is absolutely useless because it does not give one the Allah of Islam. Moreover, the Islamic tradition with all its diversity in doctrines, resulting from a lack of epistemic certainty and normative authority, fails to adequately address the diverse notions of the necessary being arrived at by different groups all calling themselves Muslim. Basically, the multiplicity of Islams results in multiple different deities, or different conceptions of the necessary being. Different Muslim groups do indeed get different deities, and different understandings of Tawheed, so the contingency argument on its own does not secure one the Allah of a supposed monolithic Islam. For example, the necessary being of Ash'aris like Ghazali is not the same as for Muslim philosophers like Ibn Sina, as Ghazali has made it quite clear that philosophical beliefs about Allah held by people like Ibn Sina amounts to kufr. If the contingency argument entails a particular deity, then Ibn Sina would have arrived at the exact same deity as Ghazali, which clearly he did not. This line of argumentation supports our criticism against Muslims in the Dawah scene who are intent on making contingency arguments as if the necessary being they arrive at by doing so is the Islamic deity. Now, Muslims may try to obfuscate the issue and respond by saying something along the lines of the contingency argument is just one step in the process towards proving Islam in the sense that it eliminates atheism and other particular worldviews. But this is not a valid argument because if one cannot show that certain things must necessarily follow logically from the contingency argument, then one is not making a positive case for Islam. Process of elimination does not actually make a positive case for Islam. If one is not able to make a positive case from the contingency argument that uniquely gets you Islam and only Islam, then there is no reason to consider Islam irrespective of what other worldviews the contingency argument eliminates. For example, atheists can say to Muslims making the contingency argument that though they've made a logical case for a necessary being, they haven't made a logical case that the necessary being is the Allah of Islam. Rather, the necessary being may very well be the God of Christians, the Holy Trinity. So until Muslims can demonstrate that it logically follows from the contingency argument that the necessary being necessarily has two right hands and a shin, without appealing to the Quran and Sunnah, one is not making a logical case for Islam. Anyone who is up to the challenge, feel free to use this logic tree proof generator.